Hey everybody, I want to talk to you about integrating the sources for our paper. This is an assignment that you will need to make up if you are not here. And juniors, I just want to tell you that this is the senior document, but your document will look just the same. Okay, so I will be using that one, but just so you know, it is the same as yours. So what we're trying to do is we're talking about integrating sources and so when you write a research paper, you have to take other people's words, thoughts, and ideas and put them into your paper, right? And sometimes people just like go, they get a quote, they stick it in, and they're done. And it just kind of sits there. So weird, right? It doesn't fit. And it doesn't really do a lot. It's just like, oh, somebody said something in this paper. What we want to do is we want to talk about integrating the source, weaving it into the text, okay, so that it is useful, right? But it also becomes a part of the paper, not just something you stuck in there or onto the side, okay? So what we're going to do is we're going to take a source, we're going to take a quote from a source, and we're going to do three things to it. Those three things will help weave it into our paper. So what I've got here on this chart, I have this quote right here. Not only is cheese dip more popular in the Arkansas area than other parts of the country, but some claim that the original cheese dip was invented either in Little Rock or in Hot Springs. Okay. So the first step we want to do is we want to add in that citation. Now, this is where I got it from over here. And I know that when I run my Easy Bib or I run my MLA citation generator, I know that there is no author. I know it's going to start with the title. So I'm going to go ahead. Oh, I'm sorry, I didn't show you that. It comes from this article right here, and there's no author listed. So this is the title, and I know that when I do the MLA, that's what will appear first. So under the citation, I'm going to go ahead and put my parenthesis and then the title of this article. And then I know that the period goes after the citation. So I'm just going to put that in there just to remind myself for later. So that's the first thing, the citation. So what that tells us that this is where that comes from. Now, the next thing we want to do then is we want to build in the credentials. Why is this valid? What would make other people believe this source, right? Because if you just have the citation at the end, you have this quote with the citation at the end, we don't really know anything about it. We don't know why we should believe it. So I'm going to go back here to my article, and there's no author there, and I'm like, I'm really kind of trying to figure out what this is, right? So I'm going to go to the About page, and I'm going to go over here. This is the Encyclopedia of Arkansas, and when I go to the About page, I find out that this is a part of the Central Arkansas Library System, and they are tasked with creating an encyclopedia about the history of Arkansas. Okay, so let me go back here to my chart. And under the credentials, and what I want to do is I want to explain what that source is. So I'm going to drop this in. According to the Encyclopedia of Arkansas, an online resource curated by the State Library System of Arkansas that collects stories about the history of Arkansas. And so what I want to do is I want to establish the credentials. So like according to a reporter from the Courier and Press, based upon police interviews, according to a police report, whatever it might be, we want to understand not just where it comes from, but why it's believable. Now, if we say like Channel 14, Evansville Courier and Press, police report, we're probably, we have a sense of how like legit it is, right? But if I say the Encyclopedia of Arkansas, that doesn't right off the bat, like scream credible, right? And so then I just have to fill in those gaps so people know, oh, it's run by the state library system. They collect these histories. That's why it's believable. Now, when I come down here to the commentary, then this is where I add something into it. So I'm going to put the credentials first, then I'm going to put the quote, and now I'm going to comment on it. What I'm going to do is I'm going to kind of give my take on it. So like crazy, this came from Arkansas. Who would have thought? And then I'll put something in like Arkansas doesn't sound like a place that would be really into cheese dip. Okay. And so I just kind of give my thoughts. Now I'm going to reword that obviously when I put that in, when I kind of, but I'm just capturing my thoughts now. But when I write it in there, then I'll probably write it in, some better language, something that sounds a little more, formal for my paper. So what I'm going to do then is I'm going to take this. This goes before, this goes directly after the quote, and then this goes after the quote. So this is where I have my commentary, my explanation. How does this help prove my point? What does it say, right? And so I'm putting the parts together here. According to the Encyclopedia of Arkansas, an online resource curated by the State Library System of Arkansas that collects stories about the history of Arkansas, comma, then the quote. And then notice right there is my citation. Okay, so notice blue here, green, green, right? Now, my commentary then is that's my take on it. That's my explanation. That's why I believe it helps explain my point. As crazy as it might be, it appears that the popular delicacy of cheese dip originated in an unlikely place, Arkansas. And so what I did then is I kind of wrapped all these pieces together. So now I have my words, and then I have an introduction to the quote. So I'm telling the reader, hey, we're getting ready to go into someone else's words, thoughts, and ideas. I give them the quote. Then I have that citation. Now, the citation is a signal like, this is it. Stop right here. Hard stop. No more quote from somebody else. Then I put my words back in. So it goes my words, my explanation, my quote or the citation, and then my take on it, right? And so now it becomes weaved into the paper. I think also too, because now I put something after the quote, it moves up into the paragraph. I know sometimes people like, there's a lot to know about cheese dip, and then they have a quote and a citation, and then they go on to the next paragraph. One of the things that makes cheese dip so amazing is, and then a quote and a citation. And every paragraph ends with a citation, right? That's hard for the reader to understand where they start and where they end. But by having my commentary after the quote, it kind of pushes it up. Now, do I do this to every quote? I should be doing things to weave it in, right? But let's say that I use this library source 3 times. I don't have to establish the credentials 3 times. Once I've established it, I don't really have to. Again, according to the Encyclopedia of Arkansas, and bam, right? Should I have that commentary afterwards? I probably should, but maybe I put it up in front, right? It's crazy to think that Arkansas is a place for cheese dip. According to the Encyclopedia of Arkansas, bam, right? So I can vary this up. But the best case scenario, and for the most times, let's do credentials, quote, cite, and then commentary. Moving forward, as we go through here, if you get to a place where you are stuck, where you're having some trouble working those citations in or working your quote into your paper, go ahead and get it in there. Get the piece of information in there. We can work out how to make it sound a little bit better. Okay. We can do that as we go along. Again, please make sure you're reaching out to Ms. McGuire or I if you have any questions. And remember, this is an assignment that you need to redo or to do if you are absent. You do need to do this. This is part of our research paper. Good luck.